Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Susan, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh, and we're taking your phone calls tonight. 412-575-2600 is the number. A lot to talk about, a lot of drama at Steelers headquarters, and the best person to talk about it with is sitting right next to me, Paul Zeise. You can tweet us. I'm at Richie Walsh. He's at Paul Zeise. And Antonio Brown, he wasn't there yesterday. Players don't have to be there today, but they have to be there tomorrow for the first practice of the week. I'd imagine Brown is going to be there because of his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, came out today and said, hey, he wants to win. He had a personal matter, and this was all blown out of proportion. Because of guys like you.
I am rooting really hard for him not to show up tomorrow. That would be tremendous. That's what we need. Come on, that would be tremendous.
I mean, it's only going to get better, right? I mean, we're 2 games in, and so much things have been going on.
Here's the thing: if they win a couple of games, it goes away. So
yeah.
It's fun right now, but they're going to win. They're too good of a team not to win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's fun. That's what I'm saying. I'm rooting hard for him not to show up tomorrow. That would be tremendous.
You know, if I'm Antonio Brown, I address the media tomorrow. I come out and I say, I don't want to be traded. I was upset. I was frustrated. Just say the right things. Get it over with. No one talks about it anymore.
I think the game's over. Did they just
Buccos just won it. Walk-off in the 11th.
Who hit it?
Well, Starling Marte just scored. I don't know who hit it. We'll have to find out here in a couple seconds. Battling Buccos, 76 and 74 now. Another big win.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so I predicted that they were going to finish right around 500, and so did you. We're like the only ones on this show that predicted them even close to being 500. And I know Bob was like 74 wins, and Ron Cook was down on them too, and Gene. So it looks like they're going to be right around 500. Which,
yeah, probably, like I said, they might be like 83 and 79.
Yeah, and that's not good enough. You need 90 wins to get in the wild card.
But again, I'm one of those people. I don't care about that.
But back to Brown, if you were giving him advice, wouldn't you just, come out, set the record straight, talk to guys tomorrow?
I would tell him to log off. First of all, stop with the social media nonsense. Secondly, I would not tell him to meet with the media tomorrow. There's no benefit for him to meet with the media tomorrow.
But if you don't meet with them tomorrow, then there's Thursday. People are still talking about it. Then there's Friday when he does actually. So it's 2 more days of this lingering on.
Matter.
Just shut it down tomorrow.
It's not. But again, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything to be gained by him meeting with the media about it. I would wait till after the game Monday night, and then you're talking to Ed Bouchette and whoever's traveled to Tampa.
Me.
You, whoever is there.
Yeah,
5 or 6 people, that's all. That's it.
And then you kind of set the record straight.
You set the record straight then.
But in that kind of atmosphere, you usually don't talk about. It's usually about the game,
That's
so
the point,
that. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
That's your shot. That's your shot at him. But that's what I would tell him.
Yeah, I'm betting that he doesn't talk tomorrow. Maybe he will, but usually it's Ben in the morning, and then it's an open locker room, and he talks on Fridays. It's Antonio Brown Friday, so. We'll see if he has anything to say. How about we have video coming up on KDKA-TV tonight of Le'Veon Bell. Have you seen this video of him rapping in a club last night in Miami? The guy looked like he's gained like 30 pounds.
He does look like I saw him on the jet ski. I saw that video. Yeah.
I heard rumors that he could be out of shape. It kind of looked like it. I know, what's the saying, television adds 20 pounds? Well, it's definitely, I don't know if it's TV or if he just added 20 pounds.
The point is, it's clear that he's not anywhere close to wanting to come back to play.
And I just do not get that, especially now if you're seeing video of this guy.
Here's the thing, if they could lose 2 more games and they're like 3-1, then he comes back and says, hey, you miss me yet? Maybe he thinks it helps his value. I don't know.
I don't know how it helps his value. He's not getting paid anymore.
Yeah, if anything, maybe the Steelers realize how much they need him.
But if anything, the Steelers are, you could be a reason why we lost. We were 0-3-1.
That's my point.
I know, but I would blame him.
But they realize how much they need him. That's what you want.
I think if the Steelers don't win, I'm not ready to press the panic button, but if the Steelers don't win Monday night, this season could be a downward spiral.
They're too good for that.
But with all these distractions, and even though players don't say they're distractions, I think they are.
I look at their schedule, and I still think there's 9 or 10 games. They're better than the teams they're going to play, and they're going to win.
Well, they're supposed to be better than Cleveland. They were supposed to be better than Kansas City. They're supposed to be better than Tampa.
But
they're supposed to be better than Baltimore.
But the thing about it, though, is, like Kansas City, it looks to me like they've got a pretty good quarterback. The Cleveland game was a disgrace, really, in a lot of ways. But it was week 1. My thing is, this team is going to win 9 or 10 games, and they're going to get to the playoffs.
All right. I do think Joe Hayden not being in the lineup last Sunday might have hurt this team.
Might have.
Yeah, well, definitely.
They got torched.
Yeah, no question about it. So it might have been a different game if Joe Hayden plays. But I hate to say one guy would make a difference, but he's one guy that could have made a difference with the Steelers winning this game. All right, we're taking your phone calls tonight. 412-575-2600 is the number. You can always tweet me at Richie Walsh or at Paul Zeise. Back in a couple minutes.